Right, so welcome back to Adventure 82. Slightly different thing today, but I thought it'd be quite handy and quite nice to do. So we're doing the first ever top 10 on Adventure 82, but because I don't do things the same way as everybody else does, we're going from my favourite to my least favourite, but they're all still worth going to. There is 10 of these, so number one, as you can probably guess, history of the channel and all, is the railway walk. There's so much history along this walk, from when you walk up this end towards Corbeil, the lost stations and stuff you can come across. You can walk it, you can cycle it. If you're walking it, be wary of the cyclists because some of them want to run you over. And whether you start from the end down by the tunnel there and do the full walk, or whether you start and do the entire walk from the station's original terminus in St Helier, which is now Liberty Wharf, and walk all the way up to the other end if you want to do that. It's a brilliant thing to do, and if you like history or you just want some peace and quiet, it's ideal for all those things. Kids like doing it because they get to see bits and pieces, they get to mess around and make echoey noises in tunnels. It just works for everybody. There's benches along the way that you can picnic on. It's just awesome for everything. Even the dog can have fun here. Anyway, on to number 2, so I need to go this way. Number 2, again following the history of the channel. One more point. It's awesome, right? So there's stunning views for people who like looking out over the sea and at the countryside. If you're a boat watcher, you could technically do that. There's the history of the site because it was built by the German Second World War. I actually have videos of this site if you want to see the bits you can't normally see. They do open the bunker at the far end for you to see on certain Sundays in the summer, so you can go and look in at the refurbished bunker. That is awesome. We have been in there. There's a walk over the other way behind Erica, behind the camera, which you can't see for bushes, but there's a walk over that way, takes you down to Portlet Bay. Again, it's a nice place for dogs, family, couples who just want to go for a walk. There's a cliff walk along this way as well. It's just a very nice, serene place to be. Again, if you like picnics, you can do that. If you don't, it just at the other end and around the corner, if you drive around the corner there's a pub. You can go and eat there if you don't fancy doing a picnic. It's a very nice place to be, and it doesn't matter whether there's a lot of people here or whether there's not a lot of people here. It's one of those things, especially if you're the kind of person, like with the kids being autistic and me as well, you don't want a load of people gathered around you, and you never feel like that here. It always feels wide open and a comfortable, nice place to be. And it speaks for itself. Just what you can see probably behind me is enough. But yeah, definitely. One more point. One of a kind. Definitely brilliant. Now, for the next one, I have to go that way. I'm back. So next one, this one's Portlet Common. This one's probably not so well known. It's just around the corner from the last one, so we're on number 3. And this one's more popular with the dog walkers and people just want to sort of casual stroll. It's really a very nice place to be. Again, very quiet, very tranquil. It's very good for people who want to come and see nature. There's a lot of birds. And if you come towards the back end of the summer season, you can also see the blackberries and things. And it's a very nice, it's one of those, it's just a very pleasant place to be. If you need somewhere like to kind of clear your head, or whilst you're away, you know how sometimes you have like maybe like a rough night out or whatever, and then you want like a quiet day the following day, but you don't want to be indoors. This is that kind of place you want to be. Not so much you do get children down here, not so much. It's very much more adults and dogs, so you do get much more kind of thinking space and time. It connects again to a cliff walk if you want to do that. And yeah, it's just very pleasant place to be. Again, this one is actually also just a walk, just a short drive, maybe like 5 minutes away. So around from where here, because this is on, you have to turn down the road down to Waynay Road, and then go straight forward rather than follow the road round to get to here. But just a short drive from here for that reason. You can also then go down the hill you pass on the way here, and you can go down to Waynay Beach, and again there's food and drink and stuff down there. There's the beach if you want to lay on the beach. So you don't have to spend all day here. I'm not sure many people could, but it's definitely a nice place to be. It's worth a visit. If you want a quiet cycle, I'd imagine you could cycle around here, to be honest. It'd be quite nice too. And once you get to the other side where you're on the cliff face, the views out to sea are stunning, and on a very clear day you can see some of the coast of France, which is always worth seeing. There are a couple of places where you can see the view in the north of the island if you go up, which we're not going to be doing, like Gronay, where you can see the other Channel Islands as well. There will be some honourable mentions I'll mention at the end that I think you should go and visit, but just haven't made it onto the list, so it wasn't too long. But yep, number 3. Exit. I've had done left, right. I don't know. Right, so this time we find ourselves in an actual park, Winston Churchill Park to be exact. So, right, first of all, before I explain about Winston Churchill Park, I'll apologise for the last edition of the video where I slipped and may have screamed down the microphone. Anyway, so Winston Churchill Park. It's a very well maintained park, as you can see, very pretty, very beautiful. Normally in the summer, the water fountain just to the left of me is on. There's also, I don't know if you can see it from here, but up at the top, they're actually doing some maintenance at the moment, because as I'm filming this, even though it's quite sunny today, it's actually still only March. But there's another water feature up there which kids like. It's actually surprisingly big. So it's a good place to come and play football and stuff with the kids. They love it. Just behind you have some Brallard's Bay, which doesn't need any mentioning because everybody ends up hearing about that as soon as they get here. There's a Pizza Hut. There's not Pizza Hut. Which pizza? Pizza Express they have here. You've got toilets. You've got literally everything you could possibly want to come up here, whether it's family, couple, whatever. So yeah, number 4, definitely Winston Churchill Park. This time, I will exit the camera shot without slipping. Right, so slight diversion from the thing for a moment. Obviously, we're still at Winston Churchill Park. I've just been pointed out by a very lovely lady who's just got a bit upset explaining this to me. That we actually have a memorial here for the Dunblane incident. I didn't realise this. But, so this memorial here that you can see by this tree, and this tree as well, it's a magnolia tree, were planted as a memorial to those in the Dunblane incident. Also, there's a bank just behind me here, which right now isn't in flower, but normally when it's in flower with snowdrops, which was the emblem of the Dunblane people. So, and that's how the bench is part of the memorial as well. So, if there's any other good reason aside from that to come here, that would definitely be it. Anyway, now to number 5, I believe, is the next one. I'll see you there. Right, so you now find us at number 5, I believe. And this is Beauport. This is an interesting area because you've got a very secluded bay down below. So if you want a very quiet beach, this is definitely the one out of all of them. There's a range of different walks that go off in various directions. Some go off into the nature area over this side. Some go off to the right hand side here. And in fact, you can even see that there's an old tower in the distance just sticking out above the trees, which you can go and have a look at as well. You can walk around to there. And the rock formations here are stunning, so you get some really good cliff views around here, and you can see clearly straight across to, now what would that be? Ooh, I'm testing my knowledge now. I'm not actually sure. I think that would be the other side of Corbeil. So, or is Corbeil behind us? Corbeil's behind us. See, I'm not very good at this on the side things. So, yeah. Oh, that would be the Plateau side, I think. But yeah, so by all means, come and have a look. Come and walk around here. This is definitely a nice place to be. I promise you, they're not all cliff walks and beaches. But I didn't want to do the obvious. I wasn't going to make 10 best places to go in Jersey and list like the Jersey Zoo and all the heritage sites and the castles and things, because these are places you're going to get told about when soon as you get here. So you don't need me to mention those. I'm trying to show you places that maybe you wouldn't think of that are also nice places to go, because you don't always want to go to attractions. Sometimes you just want to go somewhere and be normal, not a tourist. So those are the kind of things I'm trying to show you. So they're more kind of beauty spots. And I've tried to mix up beauty spots that work for both family and people on their own. So with that said, and we're halfway. So next will be number 6. Number 6 is a lot of things all at once. So let's go to number 6. Right, so another one of my favourite places, Corbeil. So before I explain about Corbeil, let's have a look. This monument's here. What's it for? Oh, okay. In memory of St. Malo, which struck a rock 900 metres north of the Corbeil lighthouse and sunk. All 370 passengers and crew were saved from the partially submerged vessel, so at least nobody got killed. That's good. Right, so Corbeil. Where to start with Corbeil? You have the end of the railway walk up there, so if you did do number 1, you can then follow it up by doing this one, which is number 6. You have the lighthouse when the sea's not out, sorry, not when it's high tide like it is today. Please, if you do go and see the lighthouse, don't be one of the silly buggers who comes over here every year and then gets stuck because they went up there and they didn't check the tide timetable first. I understand that some of you come from countries that are landlocked, you're not used to being surrounded by sea, and that's absolutely fine, I understand that. But please, if you are going to go anywhere that's off the main island, do make sure you check tide times first. It's very important. The sea in Jersey, especially when the tide's up, can be merciless. That aside, Corbeil, why is it a good place to visit? Right, well, as I mentioned, the railway walk. There is the bunker complex here, which is open on certain Sundays. Again, CIOS opens certain bunkers up for you. There's a little slipway just down behind that house there that you can park on, where there's a little secluded bay there if you want to have a bit more privacy. And then there's another bay just further down from that called Le Petit Port, but that's more of a rocky beach. It's not a sandy beach, it's more of a kind of explory beach. If you want to take the kids looking for rock pools and stuff, Le Petit Port's the one for you. You can walk on this bay, and there are some really cool massive rock pools on either side of the pathway going down to the lighthouse when you do visit, and the sea's down. So yeah, all in all, brilliant thing to do. The only downside to it now is since the 1990s, I believe, they've stopped doing tours of the lighthouse. You used to be able to visit the lighthouse. You can't do that anymore, unfortunately. But there's still plenty to look at and do here. You've also, if you're fortunate enough that you're staying in a heritage site, you may well even be staying here, because the German command tower behind me, which is currently having some maintenance work done to it, which is why it's got scaffolding around it, is also somewhere, if you go on the Jersey heritage sites, that you can let, and you can actually stay in that German tower. The view up there must be stunning. There's no other word for it. So number 6, I think this is probably one of the coolest ones. I really do. Right, on that note, let's go to number 7. We're almost there. Right, so we're now on the 5 Mile Road. This isn't number 7, this is an honourable mention, just because I think it deserves being mentioned. I don't think it's up in the top 10, but it's definitely worth mentioning. Most of you will end up where we're about to pass now, which is Le Bray. It's the most common place that people go to visit St Juan's Bay, which again, aside from St Brelard's Bay, is probably one of the most popular bays, as you can see even now. It's a good place to come for water sports if you do like water sports. Another honourable mention, which I mention now although we're not filming it, is St Aubyn's Bay near the beginning of the railway walk. You can do jet skiing and stuff there. But the 5 Mile Road, why is that an honourable mention? Right, well, there's multiple car parks along here where you can go for walks on the sand dunes. You can look at the old German bunkers. Some of them even have barbecues in, so you can have barbecues out. You can go buy yourself some easy light charcoal, some burgers, some sausages, some rolls and what have you. You can have a barbecue like you would at home, but in a completely different place, unlike, I'd imagine, for a lot of people, unlike anywhere you've been before. And out here it's quite warm as well, so it's a nice place to have a barbecue and just chill on the sand dunes. If you do want to go across the road for a dip in the sea or whatever afterwards, you can, because there's more than one entrance to the beach. You don't have to use Le Bray. Again, there are some lets down here that you can use if you go on the website, so you can stay along this road as well. But yes, there's also a military museum along here, and all in all, it's an absolutely stunning place to visit. So yeah, do come and take a look at the 5 Mile Road if you've got a spare 5 minutes. And if you're one of those people who likes nightlife, the Water Splash, which we're just passing now, it's a nightclub. It can get quite heavy in there, but yeah, do if you like that, you can do that. And then you've got a van on our left here, which is quite popular with the locals, and you can get ice cream and waffles. So it's a good place to come. You wouldn't necessarily want to spend all day here. It depends on how much you like the heat, how much you like the beach, but it's definitely somewhere that you can spend a lot of time as a family and not have to go halfway around the island if you don't want to. And there's also the wetland centre they're about to pass as well, where you can have a look at the wild birds and stuff that live within the area. There's binoculars and stuff in there for you to look at. So plenty to do. Honourable mention to 5 Mile Road, even though it's not actually 5 miles long. And I will actually see you at number 7. Take care, guys. Right, so cool puffins, aren't they? This is Plateau. It's very much off the beaten track kind of place. The site I'm stood here was once a Pulteney's, which sat derelict since 2001. It took them over 10 years to get around to demolishing it. It was going to be sold to private land, and the locals campaigned hard enough that for once, it's very rare, the state's actually listened to us. They bought the land back and it's become part of the people's land again, with the help of the Jersey Heritage Trust. So the bunker you can see in the distance was actually hidden in the complex and hasn't been out in the open air since the Pulteney's was built. So you can go have a look at that. Or you can see it's got a bar door on it, you can't get in. You've obviously got the puffins. The puffins, now this brings me to why Plateau's a cool place to visit. You have a cliff walk here, but unlike any other cliff walk in the island, it goes down to a separate little peninsula down here that you can go and see. Hang on, I'll come in camera because I'm saying down here and I'm pointing and you can't see me. Right, so down there, there's another little peninsula down there, and the cliff walk along here. And what it allows you to see, if you're very lucky, and if you come sort of midsummer, is you can actually see puffins, because they actually breed in the cliffs up here. And if you're very lucky, you will actually get to see the puffins. That hence the puffin monument that I just started the video with. But yeah, Plateau, you've got the cliff walk, you've got the puffins. Who doesn't want to see puffins, right? And then if you go down to the bottom of the hill, which I would suggest you do in your car, not because downhill is a problem, but because coming back up is a pain in the backside, The interesting thing about the bay here at Plateau, if you go down the bottom, it's got a really cool natural waterfall, and it's got some caves you can explore. But I would also stress again, like I did with Corbeil, if you're going to explore the caves, check tide times first, because those caves, when the tide comes up, they fill with water and there is no way out. So do check the tide times again before you go in the caves. But the caves are well known to people on the island as being a really good place to explore. So it's a nice place to go. If you go down at low tide, kids will love crawling around and climbing around inside the caves, being nosy, seeing what's there. Natural waterfall. It's all just good, plain fun, simple and basic. That's what's nice about Plateau. And the puffins, always the puffins. But anyway, on to number, what's it, 8 is the next one, I believe. We're almost there. Eight, is it? Right, so number 8 is Devil's Hole. Devil's Hole, devil in a hole. Back in the 80s, 90s, you would have found him painted in red, and they used to light him up at night. I don't know if they still do. But again, it's another like it's a nature kind of walk, but this one's inland. It's not a cliff walk. I did promise you there would all be cliff walks. This one's, it does end up on a cliff if you follow it all the way around, or the upper path we're on now. That one's more inland. It takes you off through almost like kind of like a wood kind of walk. The other thing that Devil's Hole's good for, which is behind us and you can't see it from here, is the pub's good, very good in the evenings and the afternoons for coming here, having a drink, an evening meal, maybe lunch. But that's Devil's Hole. It's much more suited. You can bring kids here. I mean, we've brought our kids here, obviously, but it's much more suited, I would say, probably for like couples or adults that are travelling together than it is for kids. But you can bring kids here by all means. But yeah, it's definitely more one of those, you come and you sit down, you chat and you have a drink and you have your food and stuff. And then if you did want to go and do something else after here, or you wanted to come here afterwards, just down the road, literally down, there's a path, a road that takes you down into Greve de Lec, where there's also a beach cafe down there which does breakfast. That's an awesome place to go. There's another pub down there called Moulin de Lec. That's another place to go if you don't fancy it up here. And again, you're also on the beach, but it's Jersey. There's not many places you can go that are massively away from the beach. But I would say Devil's Hole is definitely worth a look in. It'll only maybe take you a couple of hours unless you want to spend a few hours at the pub having a chat about stuff. But yeah, do come down here and have a look. Hopefully by then they'll have cleaned the devil and painted him again. And the walk's quite nice too, to be fair. It takes you out onto the cliffs again, and you can see a lot of the wild seabirds and stuff if you come at the right time of year. So, Devil's Hole done. Number 8 done. 2 to go. Right, so number 9 we're on now. This is the Plateau. It's on the north coast of St John. It's a good halfway point in this area. There's a little like burger van stop off for drinks and food if you want to. It's a good halfway point if you're doing the walk from Roselle Bay around the cliffs to Bonwy Bay, which is the other side of me this way. It's a good place just to come in the car if you want something to eat, and you can't do the whole walk because you can walk whichever direction you want and then stop off, because both places have somewhere you can eat and then walk back here as well. So this one's very much walk based. It's very beautiful. I would suggest that if you are doing the walk, if you're doing or going from this way towards Roselle, you need to be reasonably fit and definitely quite able, because some of it you actually have to almost kind of climb up some quite chunky cliff steps that are far bigger than any regular step on the way to Roselle, which is off to my left. Otherwise, off to my right is Bonwy, and the walk Bonwy direction is much easier going than the other way. But it's a very weavy path. It takes a good 4 or 5 hours to do the whole walk at least. But yes, definitely something worth doing. This area specifically is quite nice. If you go to the car park just past this one, if you're driving towards the observation tower, which is what looks like a golf ball on a stand over in that direction, if you drive in that direction, there's another car park you can use, which again gives you a slightly different route of the walk, and it's also again slightly shorter, and you bypass the cliff climbing section if you do want to do the one to Roselle. But otherwise, very nice area to be in. It just stroll around if you want, to be honest. Again, very relaxing, very chilled. There's also up near where you find the antenna mast for where we get all our TV stations in, if you're into all that kind of stuff. And like I say, there's a weather observation tower. But despite the fact in the middle area, it is quite cool. There's a few nice places, and just down the road from here, you've also got the zoo, so you could always pop here, like for a breakfast roll or something, and then go to the zoo, or go to the zoo and then just finish up your day down here, watch the sun go down even. You know, you don't have to walk at all. You know, there's multiple ways of using the place. But yeah, definitely good beauty spot, the Plateau. This place is called White Rock to the locals. I'm not sure what the official name is, but I know it as White Rock as well. This is a good place for a few things. So it's a big green area behind us there, so that's very, very good for picnics, maybe a game of football with the kids, dog walking, turn the ball, that kind of stuff. It should be Jardin de Livier, actually, now I'm thinking about it. So there's those two. The little peninsula island just behind us there, which you can walk down to, but you have to be very careful, is commonly used for fishing. So you can do fishing here. Do check, if you do go fishing, on the time of year you're here, because there are certain fish you're not allowed to catch during certain seasons to allow them to replenish so that we don't overfish. And then there's another walk along here where you get to pass the two forts that used to defend the area back in the 1700s. Another one of those again is a heritage let. So if you go on the Jersey Heritage site, you can let it out. The interesting one about this one though is it's a traditional fort, so it's literally the four walls, and that's it essentially. It's quite cool. You go in crossing a bridge, which is always quite interesting when you're staying in the building that you have to cross the bridge to get in. So that's fun. But once you're in there, it's like it's got no roof. There's no toilet, bathroom, anything like that. It's as it was when it was built. So for sleeping there, for instance, you'll need tents. You'll need your own food. And way to cook and stuff. So for someone who wants to camp but doesn't really want to be amongst anybody else in a campsite, it's a good for that. Also, the fort I mentioned is good for 9 people, they say on the website. So you could probably do some group camping if you want to come over here with your mates or whatever. That would work quite well too. And then you're not far away from Roselle. If you want to go down to Roselle, there is a pub down there, there's a cafe down there, and there was a tea room. I'm not sure if the tea room's still open. I haven't been down to Roselle myself for a few years now. But yeah, so nice location, very pretty, very scenic, as are most of the bits in Jersey. And yeah, I would recommend coming here. I would recommend the walk, to be honest, because it's a nice mixture of greenery and coastline. So it's very easy when you're in an island to get bored of seeing coastline, especially when it's a small island where it's not that far between coastlines. So this one's quite a nice mixture between coastline and slightly more inland, so you can't see the coast anymore. And it's quite a nice simple track, although there are some stairs. It's a nice simple one as well. It's a good starting point if you're not used to cliff walks. But yeah, definitely, if you are looking for some kind of serenity, or you just want somewhere nice to mess around with the kids or walk the dog if you brought your dog over, then yeah, definitely White Rock. That's number 9, I believe, is it not? So we have one left. Just one. Goes quick for you. Whole day's filming. I'll see you then.